everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ungrownups video transmission. I'm your host Mark, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Takara-Tomy MP-13 Masterpiece Soundwave. Now, it is a little weird that we are getting an MP-13 after we've already gotten MP-14, which was Red Alert, but I guess that's just how the ball bounces sometimes, right? So, I got to tell you, I've actually been looking forward for this figure for a very long time. Soundwave is not only my favorite Decepticon, but he is probably my all-time favorite Transformer of all time. Like, this guy is my absolute favorite character. And to actually have him in, like, this form, it is unbelievable. This guy is amazing. And, you know, right off the bat, I gotta tell you, this box is huge. This is an enormous box. I know it's kind of hard to tell without any kind of scale, but there's my hand, and as you can see, this thing's enormous. I'm not quite sure why they didn't, you know, ship him in his cassette form. It would have been a lot smaller. They could have saved money on packaging and shipping. And the box probably wouldn't have been much larger than the box we've got for MP-12 and MP-14, Red Alert and Sideswipe. It would have been a little deeper, but not much bigger. And I'm not sure why they decided to go that route. And the only thing I can think of, it's a very selfish reason on my part, is that, to be honest, when you drop about $200 on a Transformer, you really want that thing to arrive in grand form, and probably not in something that's, you know, you could almost fit in your pocket. So that may be the reason why. But because the package is so large, you are actually able, very nice Transformers logo on the side, because the package is so large, they were actually able to get a full-size, actual size shot of Soundwave in his robot mode on the back of the package, which is really cool. You can see Laserbeak right here, classic shot of them together there. You can see where we have 3 cassettes popping out of his chest because he actually can hold 3 cassettes, and these are actually classic versions of Laserbeak and Ravage. Couple of pictures of Laserbeak, who is phenomenal. If Soundwave is, if he blows your socks off, just wait till you see Laserbeak. He's unbelievable. And then some of the other accessories, weapons, and features of this figure. So let's get this guy open up and check him out. Okay, here we have him open up and out of the package. He comes in a very collector-friendly dual clamshell, and he comes with this nice packet of information, which right here on the back you can see comes with a little visual history of all the different types of Soundwaves that's been released over the years. A couple of things they ask you to cut out here on the back. Yeah, they want you to cut up your instructions. Okay, whatever. We didn't drop enough on this figure already. Now we have to cut up our instructions. And then a couple of bio cards for both Soundwave and Laserbeak. So we'll be looking at this a little bit later on. But as you can see, comes with the Megatron gun. It's a new version, slightly modified from the one we got from MP-01. We have the extra battery cannon, his sensor weapon, Energon cube, grid that you can actually use to hold the things they want you to cut out on. It can actually hold that to his chest. Laserbeak, and a cassette case that actually holds Laserbeak. So very impressive. Again, I mean, just look at the size of this guy. There's my hand. This guy's enormous. So let's get him opened up and take a closer look. Alright, so here we have Soundwave opened up and out of this package and turned into his cassette player form. And as you can see, he compacts really nicely. This is a pretty sturdy, squat little box here. Little open area in the back that some people complain about. They complain about this area right here being open, whereas on the G1 version it was all closed off. Doesn't bother me a bit. I'm never going to look at him in this form from that angle, so doesn't really bother me. Pretty nice and compact, as I said. Just as a size comparison, here is my G1. Well, this is not actually G1. This is the reissue with the double cassette capacity on the front. But as you can see, you know, about an inch longer, about a ½ inch taller. But spin it around here on the side, you can really see where the difference comes in. So it's about about double, you know, the same thickness. But as you can see, the two look they look really similar. Really nice. Lots of same details here. The color matches absolutely perfectly, and I actually like how you can see more of the the gold on the chest here than you could. Again, this is the reissue, so not exactly the same. So let's get this guy out of the way. Get back to this dude here, right here. And as you can see, nice record little light button right here. It doesn't actually light up, but when you get it in hand, you can kind of see it's like a red plastic on the inside, so it doesn't really show up very well on camera, but in hand you can see how it's a little red in there. If it was a little bit brighter, that'd been really nice. Spinning around here on the side, you've got some sort of faux memory card, or you know, your digital media slots, a couple of buttons that don't actually work. Little settings, so I guess this would be like bass and treble or whatever. You do have a sort of an on-off switch right here that works, on-off, if it had power and actually did stuff. And then some more, what looks to be like some fake jacks here on the side that you can't really do anything with, and then more, I guess, compact flash or memory card or whatever. Here is the volume rocker, and it does... I don't know if you can really see that. It does go up and down a little bit. People are complaining that it doesn't go all the way around. I don't see why, because this thing actually doesn't play music, and therefore it doesn't really need volume controls, but whatever. And then here on the front, you can see the play, stop, and record buttons don't actually work, but your rewind and fast forward buttons do. They do depress and go in. So, but the only button that anybody cares about is the eject button, and yes, it does work. And here is Masterpiece Laserbeak, and what a fine piece of craftsmanship this is right here. We'll get to this guy later, but just to kind of show off sort of the eject, you can see how it looks in there. Pops right out. Now, the really cool thing about Laserbeak, sitting him right here for a second, is, and let me get these two G1. I have a Ravage and Laserbeak here. Here we have the original G1 cassettes. These are, well, reissues again. But as you can see, these things are identical in size. They are the same thickness, same width, same everything. They are identical. And so as such, as you would have guessed, you can, just like the back of the package suggests, you can actually get them all to fit inside of here. So it's a very, very nice little gimmick that they got going on here. And the way this works is you can actually press this in once, hear it click, press it in again. It'll actually go all the way back. You can press it in 2 times. And the way you get that back out again is right here on the back, where on the G1 version, this would have been the belt clip. Right here, you can press it once. You hear it release, move forward 1 time. Press it again. You hear it press and release and move forward a 2nd time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to get all 3 of these guys in there at 1 time. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and press this guy back 1 time. So we have enough clearance to sort of get past the little teeth on the tray. We'll push it back a 3rd time. We'll go ahead and get the re-release of Ravage in here. We'll get it in there, press it in, and then the new Masterpiece Laserbeak. And we'll sort of get him in. Sit him right inside the case window. Close it all up, and as you can see, no added thickness, no crazy gimmicky kind of backpack thing that happens like with the Fall of Cybertron Voyager class Soundwave that we got. Just a little button. And so the way this works is, hit the button 1 time, 1 cassette comes out, close it up, hit the button in the back, brings them all forward, press the eject button, come on, press the eject button, next one comes out, close this up, hit the button in the back. Okay, you have to give it a little wiggle to get it to sit down in those teeth. It doesn't just pop out. But I think that may have to do more with the shape and the size of, and probably the looseness of the joints of my original Laserbeak than it actually does with the workings of this guy. At least I hope so. So let's get these out of the way. And one last thing I do want to point out before we move on to the accessories and checking this guy out in robot form is the fact that if you look right here on top, there is a earphone jack right there, and as it's been pointed out, you can actually take your standard earbuds and put it down in there. It actually fits. That is really, really cool. I actually would like to have this thing sitting on my desk at work with my earbuds plugged in, and then somebody come in and wonder if I am actually listening to an old school cassette recorder. Of course not. No, that would be stupid. I would never do that anyway. Alright, so let's get this guy transformed and check him out in robot form. Okay, here is Soundwave transformed in his robot mode and all of his accessories. So this is it. This is what you get. I got to tell you, it's quite an impressive package. I was actually, really surprised to see when people started doing reviews that he actually did come with the Energon cube, because this was something at one point that was thought to be an Amazon Japan exclusive, but luckily we did get one of those. And the exclusive was that you got 3 in total. So I'm sure some third-party company is going to end up making tons of Energon cubes that we'll be buying for days. But just to show you kind of like how that works, we'll sort of get some of this stuff out of the way, is you literally you take the back off of the Energon cube. It's just a clear box. You just take the back off, and you can press it right onto his chest, and it just snaps right on. And it sort of looks like Soundwave is producing an Energon cube, an empty Energon cube, from his chest. Now, if you go to Takara-Tomy's website, they actually have a PDF that you can download, trim out, and sort of tape together. It's a little paper craft that you can do. This is like a pink Energon insert, and you actually can put that inside this piece on his chest. So let's get that in and see how that looks. Wow, I do not believe I'll ever be able to get that out. It is in there for good, but basically that's what it looks like when you press it in. And let's just get this thing snapped back on, and it still fits on his chest, and it looks like he's produced an Energon cube. That's pretty slick. It's a nice accessory, and one I wonder if we'll see when this particular set makes its way stateside, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so zooming in here on the chest for a second, I definitely want to show you something. This is pretty unique. So we have the instruction manual here with this awesome artwork drawn for the Masterpiece Soundwave right here. And I'll show you on the very back, it's this really nice sort of through the years look at all of the different releases of Soundwave, which is actually really cool that they included this all the way up through the movie and Fall of Cybertron and the movie, and then the Transformers Prime version. And then down here at the very bottom is a display sheet, and they're not perforated, they're not stickers. They literally ask you to trim this out. Both this schematic here of a ship and this what could possibly be Cybertronian writing. So you would think for $190 they would give you a sheet of these already cut out, where you didn't have to cut up your instruction manual. But the deal is that you actually trim that out, and you put it in. You kind of set it behind this little grid that actually clips on to Soundwave's chest right here. So we're going to get these trimmed out and stick them in and see how they look. Okay, so we've got them cut out here, and what you do is, sorry for the blowout, you just sort of slide it in behind this little chest grid, and then line it up on his chest, pop it in. I may have to trim some more off that one side, but there you go. He's got a readout on his chest now, a little schematic of a rocket ship. Looks pretty cool. I definitely need to trim some more off that one side. I don't mind cutting these out of the back of my manual. I mean, I'm sure you could, go to any copy store, or just do a scan and a copy of it and print it out yourself at home or somewhere else. But, I'm never going to sell this guy. I'm not worried about keeping the manual spotless. And truth be told, I'll probably never even put these things back on here again. But, and here is the Cybertronian lettering, or whatever the case may be, whatever that is. So, pretty cool little addition that, again, for the price, it would have been nice if they had just included these as little cards already pre-cut, where you didn't have to cut the manual, but Way to go, Takara-Tomy. So, you'll notice that Soundwave is not armed. If you come around here on the back, you can see this is where all of his weapons store. And this also happens to be, I guess, the biggest point of contention for some Soundwave lovers out there, is that, you know, before in the original toy, let me show you here, you actually had a battery compartment, for those of you who don't remember. But I'm sure if you're watching this, you're a Soundwave lover, so you know what's up. You actually took his back off, and then both of his weapons looked like batteries, and they were in the back. Not such an elegant design choice here, but I kind of actually like the way it kind of looks like a backpack in a way. But you do have his batteries. They still resemble batteries. This gun actually comes off, so you can see that it actually sort of still resembles. It's got the battery shape. This is his actual cannon. It is connected. It's on a hinge. Rotates up and then kind of rotates around. It's really stiff joint. I'm trying to do this one-handed and not break it. So, but I really like his shoulder cannon because I'll tell you, it's got some raised missiles in here. We'll take a closer look here in a minute. You can see that the missiles are actually coming out and they're raised quite a bit. So that's really cool. This particular battery is his hand weapon. So you sort of pull it out. And I've heard tell that this is not the easiest thing to actually get to transform. It's not so bad. I don't know what people are complaining about. And so it just sort of, the handle rotates out, separate the battery, and then you pull this tip out, which this was the first thing I lost when I was a kid. That thing went missing immediately. I think that was pretty much everybody's experience with Soundwave. Although I have a pretty harrowing story to tell about my my Soundwave, the one I had when I was a kid. It involves a family member. Anybody who's familiar with our podcast or listens to any of the episodes will know that I'm not too fond of a certain cousin of mine for destroying my Soundwave. Okay, so as you can see, there are actual little notches inside of his palm that allow his hand to actually grip the weapon without the need of his fingers actually curling all the way around. And that's really cool. We saw this on Rodimus, and it's a pretty standard trope now with Transformers, especially Masterpiece Transformers now. So there he is, all weaponed up. So we also have the sort of redesigned Megatron pistol. It still has the sliding gimmick here for hands if it needs a tighter grip. The scope is still removable, as is the silencer. And man, mine's on there really well. Starting to guess if it actually does come off. So that also comes off. What's redesigned about it is the fact that you can now tilt the sort of extended stock. You can rotate that down now, and now you can rotate it back up a little bit. This extra hinge here, I believe this one was on there before, but this extra hinge right here has been added so that a figure can hold the weapon without the stock getting in the way. And that's a really nice addition. Now that they're going with this smaller, modified scale, let's say that, modified scale line of Masterpiece figures. I think it worked okay for MP-01, but with these figures it needs a little something extra so that somebody can hold the pistol and it not really get in the way. And man, that is quite impressive. Quite impressive. So, the only other thing I think we need to get to is sort of one of the hidden gems of this amazing set, and that is Beak. I really want to concentrate on this guy right here. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so here is the G1 Beak transformed, and you know, one of the things that made Beak so cool was these little backpack pieces that, you know, came separately, and you had to plug them in to sort of make this the jet and the engines and stuff that's on the back of him. So one really cool thing about this guy is that, and you know, we showed how they were exactly the same size, those little engine parts are integrated right in here. So while it is the same size, let's check this out. First thing you want to do is there's a little hole right here on the back, little right there in the center. You want to press that and sort of get Beak to get his head up and out of the way. So raise his head up, and then what you want to do is you want to flip these side panels up, and as you can see, you want to lay them flat. There are the engines. It's so amazing. I'm going to flip the wings down and lock them back. Sorry if you guys can hear that. We have really obnoxious neighbors that live above us. They don't really respect the sanctity of silence. So flip his legs out, and there you go. And there you have the Masterpiece. Geez, they're loud. You have the Masterpiece Laserbeak. And as you can see, the difference, this guy is a little miniature work of art. I was actually only planning on picking up the Masterpiece Ravage and Rumble set, or whichever one comes with Ravage, since that would give me 3 of these guys, and only 3 fits in his chest. So I thought that was a good. I thought, you know, I'll just skip out on Frenzy and Buzzsaw because you know, he's just a repaint of this guy. But since getting him, I've gone ahead and pre-ordered the other set, so I can have another one of these guys just to keep around because he is so amazing. It would have been cool if the other set had, you know, Rat Bat in it or something like that, but who cares? This guy is so amazing that that I really don't mind having an extra one. So let's move this guy out of the way, and I'll show you one last neat little thing. Is right here on the top of his head. See if I can get this to pop out. You can actually raise up his little spy camera, and that thing is so incredibly killer cool. You see it's raised there, and then you can just lay it flat. This guy is a little miniature work of art. I can't say that enough. He is amazing. So let's see how this guy works with Soundwave. Okay, so here we have Soundwave, and we've got Laserbeak, and I don't know if you can see this, but on Laserbeak's feet, on the very bottom, his feet have these grooves kind of slotted into them, and right here on the top of Soundwave's shoulder, you can see is a little grooved section. He has one on each shoulder, here and here, and also right here on his wrist, on the back of each one of his wrists, you can see a little raised plastic tab, and that is so that Laserbeak can, his little feet can like just kind of like slot in, and stays on pretty well. Like he won't come off. That's really, really, really cool. I say he won't come off, and then he just came off. So let's get this guy positioned so he can have a look at Laserbeak on his arm. And there we go. That is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh man, that's so killer cool. Alright, so what I want to do real quick is I want to show off a little bit of size comparison. We've seen him with Laserbeak plenty now. So what I want to do is I want to bring in the original G1. So you saw that they weren't too terribly out of scale with one another in their cassette form, but here he is in robot mode, considerably larger. God, I still love this guy. He's so awesome. So go ahead and bring him in with a couple of other guys. Here he is with a Masterpiece Sideswipe. I'd bring in Red Alert, but what's the point? They're the same. So good size scale there. And I'm afraid that, let's see, this is going to match up so well. Haven't actually stood these guys next to one another yet, but here's a Masterpiece Thundercracker. And I got to say, I think that's a pretty decent scale. I kind of like the idea of Soundwave being a little taller than the Seekers. You know, I kind of think, you know, he's kind of like second in command. So to me, it makes sense. He's a little larger than the Seekers. Let's see how this is going to work out. Here's the one everybody's wanting to know. How's he stack up against MP-10? Is Optimus going to be out of frame? Just a little bit. Optimus is out of frame just a little bit. Sorry about that. So yeah, as you can see, Optimus is a good, I'd say, a good head taller than Soundwave. Really nice. That's a good comparison. Cannot wait to get these guys up on the shelf with one another. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something with Soundwave that I typically do with my Hot Toys reviews, and that is going to be to put this guy through a series of poses, and let's do a little pose montage. So we'll catch you back on the other side of that with a couple of final thoughts. As anybody who watches my Hot Toys figure reviews knows that after a montage I always try to put the figure back in sort of the pose that he's going to live on my shelf in. And this is pretty much it. I just think this is the most iconic pose for Soundwave. And yeah, you know, I love having Beak with his head turning out this way so I can actually get a chance to see him. I just think it looks killer, and this is how he's going to live on my shelf. Now, some final thoughts about this figure. The price point is always going to be a point of contention for collectors. Is he worth it? Is he not? I have happened to believe that he is. I'm happy with what I paid. I would have been happier if, I only paid, like, say, $150 for Soundwave. But, I think the price point for what you get is fair, considering this is probably, next to MP-10, one of the best Transformers we've received in a very, very long time. So that brings up the point of availability. Should you import this guy? So, just a couple of days ago, and we're recording this, early January or late January 2013, and just a couple of days ago, there was a report on the Australian Transformers website, Ozformers, confirming that Toys R Us did have this slated to come out to Australia by Hasbro, not by Takara-Tomy, and it was slated for a July 2013 release. So, given the popularity of this character in America, I cannot believe that Hasbro would pass up the opportunity to bring this masterpiece figure to America, and we will probably see it here in the States probably sometime during the summer. Will it carry a $189 price tag? I highly doubt it. I can't see Toys R Us being able to move a $200 Transformer. I just don't see it. So that leaves us to speculate what the price is going to be. Ozformers had the Australian release coming in, or Toys R Us had it released at $100. I'd be willing to bet that he's going to be at least $120, just like the Masterpiece Optimus Prime. At first he was listed at $99, but he sold out, and when he was re-released around Christmas, he was going for about $119 at our Toys R Us here in town. So I would guess that he would probably fall in that $100 to $120 range, and for that they're going to have to come off of it $60, and how are they going to be able to bring the price down? How are they going to be able to bring it down $60? I can't imagine that they would leave out Beak. He's such an integral part of Soundwave. So, it may be that we don't get the Megatron pistol. It may be that we don't get the extra plate and the Energon cube. And, honestly, all of that may be may be worth it. That may be enough for them to be able to come down in the price. Do I think all that stuff's worth $60? Absolutely not. I would have much rather this figure come in at $100 and me not get any of that stuff. But barring that, I can't imagine. I mean, the colors are spot on. I can't imagine that the paint scheme would change any. So, you know, it's completely up to you. I mean, this is all speculation. We don't know what the price is going to be. We don't know what the accessories included are. So, you know, it's totally up to you if you want to import now and own him, or take the chance of him coming or possibly not coming. Although I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll be available here in America over the summer. So, you know, your decision. I hope this video helps. You know, that's going to about wrap it up for this guy. We're going to ask that if you enjoyed the video that please like, comment, or subscribe. Be sure to join in the conversation over at facebook.com/ungrownups, and be sure to check out our website at ungrownups.com, where you can also check out our podcast, which is new every 2 weeks, or you can check it out over at iTunes. So that's going to about do it for us, and until next time,